Hey, Robert Cornelius shot the first ever selfie in 1839. It was a daguerreotype, and that material is not very light sensitive. So it took him probably like 10 to 15 minutes to expose the picture. So he needed to stay still for 15 minutes to expose the first ever selfie. Now he was a good looking fellow, so the selfie is actually pretty good. It looks like this. But hey, that's not all. In addition of being the first ever selfie, it's also the first ever portrait photo. Nobody had thought about that earlier. And that's because the whole process, that daguerreotype, was invented just a few months earlier. He took this picture. The invention happened in France by the gentleman named Louis Daguerreau. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but that's my wild guess. Those guys eventually became friends and exchanged some daguerreotypes among themselves. And so they were on the cutting edge. In 1996, the Library of Congress acquired quite a bit of Robert's work. Photographs, including this selfie, but also some of his tools that he used to take these pictures. And among these tools were an interesting looking lens. It looks like this. Hey, and it looks like one of the lenses that I got. I already made a video about this. I put the link up there, so know more about this lens. This is an old condenser lens from an enlarger that I modified. So okay, I bet you know where this is heading. Now about 70 years later, Sir Ernst Shackleton was going to Antarctica, and part of his expedition, one of the goals was to try to find the magnetic South Pole. And three gentlemen named Douglas Mason, Alistair McKay, and Edgeworth David, it sounds like an old-fashioned name, headed out to look for that magnetic South Pole. And when they eventually found it, they wanted to take a selfie of themselves. Now, unfortunately, when they got back from the expedition and they did take a look at their measurements, they noticed that they had made some error and they never got to the magnetic South Pole. But the selfie remains, and it's a good-looking selfie. Looks like this. Hey, if you look at that picture more carefully, we can see that Alistair McKay holds a string of some sort in his hand. And I just simply assume that that is somehow attached to the shutter release of his camera. So by pulling that string, he can take the selfie. So without any further analysis, I thought, let me try to replicate and sort of merge these two historical events and this gorgeous model and take a few selfies. For that I took, of course, my Graflex speed graphics, and I put my lens, this modified lens, on it. And then I needed to do the same that the Polar Expedition team had done. So the shutter release of a Graflex works like this. So now I thought I need to somehow tie a string here and make it around the camera so that I can release it. So I took a piece of copper wire and made a loop in the end, and then I just put it through here and attach it to like this. And now just by pulling this, Yeah, I should be able to release the shutter. If you take a look at the string that Alistar holds in his hand, it's a white string. Of course, because the scenery is white, snowy, white scenery. He wanted to have a white string so that it wouldn't show in his picture. Now I took white string also, but the reason for me to take white string was that this was the only string I found from our kitchen drawer and I was too lazy to go downstairs. So I now have some white string here. Let's make a loop. Pretty advanced technology. Then we take the tripod. For this I take my old-fashioned, really nice Perlepach. Put this on. Yeah, hey, I'm ready to take some polar expedition type of photographs, selfies with this now. Now, unlike in the previous selfies, now this time the model is but ugly, so I needed to hide the face in a few pictures. I make them sort of disappear into the darkness. They're also a little bit more artsy, I think, that way. Hey, then as a last picture, I thought let me try to be a bit more experimental. And I have this idea. I've already taken back in the days a few pictures of a coffee mug. So that I light a match and then I throw it into a coffee mug. And as the smoke comes out, it looks a little bit like hot steam. And I thought that was neat. So this time I thought I'm gonna do the same, but instead of just the match, let's level it up a bit, and I lit a candy wrap, like a piece of paper, and threw it into a coffee mug. Now that went a little bit overboard, and what I created is more like from the movie Alien, but you know, it looks like this. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care. Bye.